Hello, welcome to this introduction video to Assignment 1. There will be 4 large-scale assignments in this course, each worth 5% of your grade, a total of 50 points. And the first one begins this week. You'll have until February 2nd to complete it. Let me just confirm that. Always nice to double check. Yes, this one closes on February the 2nd. So you'll go in here, um, find this document, which is the same one that I'm looking at here. So this one is based on the case study at the end of chapter 2 in your text, page 120. It kind of starts, each chapter in this textbook will start with a case opener, which is then continued with the case closer. So technically, you could also grab some information from page 63 at the start of chapter 2, but it can be useful. So I'd recommend reading both of them. The case is about information security and ethical decision making. Chapter 2 is all about compliance with the law and ethical considerations. You'll be answering the 4 questions at the end of the case, the 3 discussion questions and the ethical decision making question. This is, first and foremost, a research assignment. So you will be graded for your research, analysis, and writing skills. You'll do research on this idea to substantiate your position. Simply giving your opinion and your thoughts on the matter is not sufficient for this. You will need some outside resources to support your points. I have already read this case, and while you will be reading it, do not waste your time simply restating the facts of the case. You'll be reading, researching, and analyzing. So this is the point breakdown for this assignment. All of the assignments will have points for organization, format, and grammar. This is basically, did you organize your ideas in a coherent way? Is your formatting accurate? And is your grammar accurate? Then the introduction. As I mentioned in the video from our introduction videos on writing expectations, your introduction does 2 things, and I will be grading on both of these 2 things. First, it grabs my attention in some way. This isn't simply stating this is an important issue, this is proving that it is some kind of important issue. Usually with some kind of shocking statistics, some idea that goes against what is commonly considered to be fact, something of that nature. That's the first thing. The second thing is you introduce your thesis statement. What is the overarching idea of this paper? Why does this paper exist? What's important about it? And what are you trying to say with it? That kind of thing. Then you'll go through and answer each of the questions. I'll get to that a bit more in a little bit. I am grabbing the case study right now. You'll end the paper with a conclusion. The conclusion is somewhat similar to the introduction, but it typically only has 1 or 2 things. The conclusion is a place to summarize your findings. This is not a place to have sweeping generalizations or ideas like, oh, information security is a really important thing and ethics should always be taken into consideration with this kind of thing. That's not what we're looking for. As a general rule of thumb, if your conclusion could simply be taken off of this paper and put onto another one, it's probably not a very good conclusion. Your conclusion should be your conclusion. It should summarize your ideas, your thoughts, and the facts that you have presented in this paper. I will be requiring some references for this in a works cited section. You'll see it is worth more than 20% of the grade for this paper. Typically, the point breakdown for this will be 2 points for a reference and then 1 point for properly formatting them, in this case, because there's 11 points. So I'll usually expect around 5 references. I do provide some extra credit for going above and beyond in that regard, up to, I believe last time I did, you can earn up to 20 points in this references section here. Going back to the actual meat of the paper, we have these 4 questions. And the first question, this case study involves a attack. Let me see. Make sure I get this right. Don't want to lead anyone astray. So, the case study involves a message coming in from a anonymous customer feedback system. The person that all of these case studies follow is a woman named Iris, who is a member of an organization called Random Widgets. What is it? Random Widget Works, and her various struggles with working in this organization. The organization did not have a plan for the incident that occurred, and so they are left kind of scrambling with how to respond to a criminal act of espionage put on them. And so the questions are all related to their response to that incident. The first one is, do you think the response of the company so far indicates any flaws in company policy or practices that are revealed in the incident? So I would be expecting you to give your position on that question and then providing support for that position. Why do you think this? Why is your position something that's worth considering and worth thinking about? Why is your position the best position to have taken on this question? The second one is, with which law enforcement agency do you think Iris should consult? On what factors do you base that recommendation? In Chapter 2, we'll be going over some various law enforcement agencies that have relations to information security. And so you'll analyze the situation, come to a conclusion on which law enforcement agency is the one that would most likely be working with RWW in this case, and then supporting that position. The third question is, what criminal acts might have occurred in this situation? Considering who the perpetrators might be, what do you think their relationship to RWW Incorporated might be? So we'll also be talking about various laws as they relate to information security. So you'll analyze the situation, much like in the second question, figure out what laws might have been broken or have likely been broken, support that position, and then you'll discuss who the perpetrators might be and what relationship they might have to RWW. Finally, the ethical question. Suppose that the person who forwarded this email that started off this whole case study was involved in the criminal activity of selling company data. Also suppose that when the tip came in, she deleted the message without bringing it to anyone else's attention. Her assignment is to delete any and all messages deemed to be noise or a nuisance, and then bring the remaining messages to the attention of the CEO. Assuming that she was involved in criminal activity and she did delete the tip, by deleting the message that Iris would have received, is Cassandra's act unethical and is it illegal? So using the same ideas that we talk about in the chapter, you will determine whether or not she acted unethically and whether or not she's broken any laws, and then support those positions. It's all about supporting your positions. Simply stating your answer to the question is not enough, and it will not be enough for any of these questions. This is a research course, and you will be graded on your level of research. So the paper, I oftentimes get questions on word count or page limit. I don't like to have hard word counts or hard page limits that you're required to meet, because that oftentimes leads to people stretching out their ideas in a not very useful way, or by simply expanding their word count as much as is possible by throwing in random articles or filler words or things of that nature. Not really adding to their answers to the question, but simply trying to fill space. But I would make the recommendation that this is a paper. It's probably going to be, I'd say, between 2 and 4 pages double spaced, roughly maybe 1.5 spacing. But ultimately, what I'm looking for is, did you have a proper introduction? Did you answer these questions completely and support your answers? Did you have a good conclusion? And do you have the references that you need to support your position? That is what I'm grading. I'm not counting your words. I'm not counting your page count. I want you to actually do the assignment, not just fill space on a page. If there are any questions, feel free to email me. I am available. We've talked about my email several times already. Make sure that you are completing quiz 1, which opens Monday the 20th at 8 a.m. and that you are answering and responding to questions on